Yo, what's up, guys? Dragon Ball Dave back with another Dragon Ball Daima review. Just want to share my thoughts on it. This is on Dragon Ball Daima episode 12 entitled Surprise, which released January 10th, 2025. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so this is definitely one of the slower episodes. I don't think it's the worst episode. I've seen a lot of people say that. Definitely don't think it was the worst episode. Episode 7 is still my least favorite episode. But this was kind of a slow episode. It had a couple of little lore building aspects, and it introduced us to some things that, maybe didn't seem the coolest, but the concept is cool. And so I'll just kind of get into that as we go. I do want to say, we didn't have a review last week because Daima took a week off for airing it over in Japan on Fuji TV. That's why we didn't have one last week. Now, Netflix did still stream an episode last week, but then they didn't have one this week or whatever. So it's like, I thought Netflix was going to catch up. They're not. And then I guess Hulu is 100% caught up too. If you watch it on Hulu, you don't have to just watch it on Crunchyroll. They have all 13 episodes. And then if you watch it if you prefer the dub, Crunchyroll, as far as I know, is releasing the episodes. And it seems they're just going to do one episode a week for the dub, which is kind of weird, but whatever. That'll sort of drag Daima out for a little bit more, but, we'll see what happens with it. But anyways, episode 13, entitled Surprise. Like I said, not the greatest episode of all, but it was still interesting. It opens up with Degasu and Goma, and they're basically, like, oh no, they got the second second Demon World Dragon Ball. So they're kind of, freaked out a little bit, and Goma actually orders Degasu to disable Warp. Now that's something that I guess we've never seen that happen. And Degasu actually, he's kind of like, whoa, are we really going to do that? We're going to disable Warp? And he goes into this room with, like, I guess magic everywhere. And he makes one of the little lights disappear or whatever. And when he does, there's a switch, like a lever. And he legit just pulls it and it just deactivates Warp. Now, this is kind of interesting because Warp is like, the big Warp is clearly maybe more of a machine type deal. And its personality comes from Little Warp maybe. But Little Warp seemed to be like a living being. So I thought it was weird that he could just be, disabled like that. But it was still neat. This is the Demon King's the one who commissioned Warp. It was Abra, they said that's why they had to start using Warp, because he put the tunnel over the thing. So I have to say, the lock over the Demon World tunnel. Can't talk, sorry. So, it is interesting to see that even though, Warp paid no respect at all to Goma could still shut him down at any second. But I think it's just like turning off a machine almost. I don't think it actually is like Warp's not dead or anything like that. But like I said, it was, that's a neat little lore building. There's just a switch there in the Demon World. And Degasu acted funny about doing it. He didn't want to do it. Which is interesting because, like you said, maybe Remus or somebody else, a higher authority. Remus, as far as we know, is the highest authority. Maybe he'll come and be like, what are you guys doing? Because they said they had to get permission to get the pin numbers and all this stuff. So it's just like, I don't know, it's weird. If they can just control who uses Warp whenever they want, which has been kind of implied throughout Daima, but that first episode made it definitely seem like even Degasu and Goma had to get permission to use Warp. And so, that's an interesting thing. But anyways, it pans over to the heroes, and they're just, on their ship about to crash or whatever. And that's when they actually don't know why. And I actually wondered if, maybe Warp had some, like, tie to all machine equipment or something, and so it caused it to go down. But it didn't. The engine just failed. And, Pansy just plugs it right back in like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. She fixes it almost instantly. And while they're crashing, Neva's all like, if we die, we'll be cracking food. So, we're pretty much cooked. And they actually don't land in the water. They land on a planet where it's giant. And it really reminds me of Dragon Ball GT, I want to say episode 6 or 7. And I think other people have already pointed this out too a bunch. But it's one where Goku's like a dentist. They meet this giant. And I actually pointed this out back in episode like 6 when they fought the Minotaur thing. Because the Minotaur didn't actually fight. And the Minotaur was like, I guess, big. I paralleled that to the big giant who got he ate a big apple and the Dragon Ball got stuck in his tooth. but Goku blasted it out with a Kamehameha wave. Which, interestingly enough, Toriyama actually designed that giant, which is pretty cool because, Toriyama didn't mess with GT too much like that. But he did help out quite a bit. But it's like a giant, like, land, like the vines, the trees, everything is huge. And, it's just kind of goofy or whatever. What's his name? Neva explains that they're on the planet Megoth, okay? And he says it's the second most dangerous planet in the whole demon world. And, that's interesting because it's going to tell us what the first one is in a little bit. But for the time, he just says this is the first most dangerous. And so they're just kind of waiting for Pansy to fix the ship while everybody else is exploring. Now, and it wasn't just so easy that Pansy could just clip the thing back together. She can't figure out exactly what she needs to do, and she needs some tools. Bulma shows her the Hoi Poi capsules, which are, the little capsules that Capsule Corp uses. And, of course, Pansy's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And it's a cool little neat thing about them kind of working together because they're both like the technicians of the group. And Pansy's like, I guess, the Bulma replacement. But it would still, it was still kind of neat to see the interaction. But like I was saying before, Neva's like, oh man, we're on planet Megoth. We're cooked. We need to hurry and get out of here. These things are very dangerous. And, he said, like I said, or it's a planet Mega and the beings are called Megoth. I can't talk for nothing. I'm sorry. But Shin said he's barely heard of it. But he does know that's where giants live. And like I said, they definitely tell us it's the second most terrifying world in the demon realm. Or planet in the demon realm. And even the Supreme Demon King and the military police don't come here. So that's, that's very interesting that, there's beings out there that are above the Deborah, above the Tamagamis, that are above, they just never had an interest in taking over. And that's really crazy, like, how would you guys have handled Majin Buu? Well, then get this thing where Pansy's trying to fix the ship, and she actually tells, what's his name, Hybus to, like, be a stool for her, so he can lift her up to check. And it's funny because, she's the princess of the third demon world, and he's, like, I guess Kadan's right-hand man, so he's kind of got to do what she says. But it's also like, you can fly. Why the hell does he need to pick you up? I don't know, it was kind of funny. But anyways, then it pans over to Arinsu, and, she's just sitting there wondering what must have happened for all the military police to be pulled to the demon world or whatever. Well, she then calls Gloria, and they explain, we've got the second Dragon Ball, and we're heading there next. And so Arinsu's like, oh, yeah, this is great. I have all 3 Dragon Balls now. But go ahead and watch out for Goma. Because if he's aware that something's going on. And while he's not paying attention to Arinsu, he definitely knows something's going on with the other stuff. And so he's locked off warp. No one can travel anywhere. And then that was pretty much it for that. It then pans back again to the group, and Pansy's still fixing the ship. And they talk about that glowing rock that Bulma found in Shin's spaceship in episode 2 or 3, I think. And she couldn't get it to work. And they explain that it's called Magilite, and that it doesn't exist on Earth, so that's why Bulma couldn't get it to work. And she said, Pansy explains a whole bunch with it. She says it reacts with acidic water to produce energy that can last like 30 years or something. And then she explains that because of the demon world, the way they sit on each other, the third realm sits above the second one. It's like all those gases and those fumes mixed together from where the worlds meet. And that's what produces that mineral like that. So I thought that was actually really neat. Like I said, that's a lore building thing that's, it doesn't do a whole bunch for, expanding the multiverse, but it explains what we've seen here. And it says, depending on the water composition, the color changes. And it's really neat because Pansy's explaining it all. And then she says, this is actually the first time I've ever seen the second Demon World sky. Because it's the first time she's ever been there or whatever. And that's just kind of really neat that, like, she gets to prove her theory true, I guess, because she didn't actually know. They just assumed. But Bowman's like, so you guys must have a lot of that Modulite then. And Pansy's like, no, the Demon King, the Supreme Demon King, make sure it's regulated and you have to ask permission. Anybody who steals it gets punished by death. So it's a really cool mineral they have that is like awesome supplies of energy, and they can't, distribute it and use it. And so that's kind of neat too. It's like the government's oppressive, no matter how you look at it. But Bowman definitely says that she'd like to get some of that, and Pansy's like, "Oh, don't worry. Once we're done, I'll ask my dad. We can steal some from somewhere easy." And Bulma's like, "Huh?" So we just steal stuff. Then we get a little scene of, they're just wandering around the woods, and it's kind of slow. They notice there's these scratch marks and, tore up trees, ripped apart fruit, but they don't really pay no mind to it. And then all of a sudden, there's these giant hamsters while Goku's eating an apple. Like I said, the apple reminds me of the giant apple that Buddy and GT got his the Dragon Ball stuck in his tooth with. Anyways, these giant hamsters come out, and they're, they got glowing red eyes. And like I said, everything on this planet is big. The grass, the animals, everything. And it was like, oh, that's a hamster. And, the hamsters attack, and it's kind of supposed to be like dramatic, I guess, and serious. But Goku just runs away, and they tell him, like, why don't you just defeat it? He's like, that'd be too cruel because it's a hamster. But then a whole bunch of them come, and it's like, this would actually be freaky. I don't like rats, so. They all jump at him and attack him. And they pretty much just beat up the hamsters for a second. Nobody transforms. Nobody does anything like cool. All of a sudden, there's a thud on the ground. And it's, as I said before, the Megoth. They're coming in. Well, the one's coming in. And just the sound of him coming scares the hamsters away. Now, Vegeta also mentioned that the hamsters are really resilient because he shot pathetic blasts at them and didn't, it didn't hurt them. Sorry. But, that's pretty much it. It was kind of goofy. Like I said, as soon as the Megoth comes, and that's what he's called, he's a big orange-looking guy. And we find out he's actually a school child. Yeah, he's got a ruler, a bag, he's on his way. He's actually sitting down to just have a little snack for a minute, but just his presence scared the hamsters away. And like I said, Piccolo decides he's going to check out, like, what the heck, what was that? Why'd everybody fly, or why'd the hamsters run away? And he flies up and he just kind of scopes it out, and then he actually sees this giant coming at him. And they're all like, what the heck? They're baffled by the size of it. But, they're just kind of like, oh, we got to stay away from it. We don't mess with it. But like I said, he's got a school book and all types of stuff. It's just a kid. And Nev actually explains that here in a second. But he thinks that they're cooked when they see it, though. And like I said, this Megoth, or whatever they're called, he really doesn't actually have any, desire to even acknowledge them. But like I said, he flat out says it's a child, and they're all baffled by the size of it. And then while they're sitting there, they're just worried that, like, maybe he's going to crush their ship. And they see he's got something in his hand. He's eating a Kraken leg, which is interesting because, the Kraken was the big bad so far that we've met in Dragon Ball Daima. And this thing's eating them. Now, don't get me wrong, just because you see a kid walking around with a shark on a stick doesn't mean that, he picked it up out of the water, or his parents could hunt it or trap it and then cook it. But I think the implication here is that the Megoths are way, way stronger and way more formidable than even the Kraken. And like I said, they literally say he's on his way home from school, and he just sits down to have a snack for a second with his little Kraken leg that he's got. It's a tentacle. But, this was kind of neat because it's a whole different type of creature. But, whatever. Anyways, this dog-like thing comes, okay? And when the dog thing comes, it's like a Megoth dog. And it instantly smells all these little people all around and stuff. And so it actually starts trying to go at him and stuff. And Vegeta punches it. Goku does some damage to it. He blasts it away with a Kamehameha wave. They do quite a bit to it, but the pup doesn't take any damage at all. And it's kind of like it's just playing almost. Like it's not serious about what, It's just playing, like exploring. It smelled something over here, like a dog would play with a toy or something. But that was also kind of neat, but also very lackluster when it came to like the action of it. Like, okay, so this dog is a big deal. We get these Megas are big. They're big bads, the strongest we've met so far, I guess. But they're also it's a kid and his dog, and he's not even interested in it. And there's all types of little goofy stuff. When Goku's hiding in the grass, the dog can't find him at first, or it sneezes and it blows Goku away because it sneezed, and that exposes him. And there's actually a scene where Goku like flies on the dog, and like the hair on it is so deep that there's fleas trying to attack Goku. It was kind of weird. It reminded me of that like inside Super Boost stuff, where the worms are attacking him back in the Dragon Ball Z anime. But it was neat still. It's just kind of, I felt like this episode was really kind of like slow and didn't offer a lot aside from minor lore building here and there. But that was pretty much it. Glorio shoots at the dog, and he's about to get cooked. Actually, he's about to get ate, and that's when Vegeta uppercuts the hell out of the dog, and it looks like it does good, man. He bites his tongue and everything, but the dog is completely unfazed by it. And Glorio's kind of embarrassed that Vegeta had to help him. Like, oh wow, they're real strong. And Goku gets his name wrong again. Glorio doesn't even bother correcting him. He's just like, keep it away from the plane. And apparently that had to be spoken out loud. They didn't know. But Vegeta's confident he can handle this thing by himself. And like I said, they're not transforming, but they do, just keep throwing little blasts at it and stuff. And it pretty much takes no damage until Goku Kamehameha's it. Which is, I guess the first Kamehameha Goku's used since episode 8, maybe? Yeah, I think. Yeah, yeah. Actually, I want to say that's right. Since episode 8 or episode 9. Which is what, as I pointed out in the review then, that was a tribute to the original first episode Goku used the Kamehameha wave in. But the Megoth goes ahead and finishes his Kraken leg, and then that's where, does he notice exactly? Hold on a second, my bad. But because of the dog, the Megoth is totally aware now of, like, the ship and everybody. And Pansy's like, hey, we got to fix, let's go. The Megoth's like a little kid for real, man. He just pokes at the ship with his, like a stick he finds. And as they go to fly off, he's kind of watching it, and he kind of inhales and then blows it away. And then he goes to swat them like a fly, man. And Glorio's like, I can't dodge it. And they're pretty much cooked there. They'd be done in. And Goku, in his base form, is able to stop the Megoth. Now, the Megoth was just trying to swat a fly, and then all of a sudden the fly had super strength. So he kind of looks like, what the heck? But then he easily just smashes Goku. And like I said, it wasn't like Goku overpowered him. He's like, wow, I didn't expect that fly to do that, But then the thing just starts trying to hit with this giant club he's got. He's trying to like smash the ship and everything. And Vegeta flies out as Super Saiyan. And Piccolo comes out too. And they actually try to attack him. And Piccolo's able to actually blast his hand and knock the stick out of it. But then the little Megoth kid uses a ruler instead. Because he had that ruler in his backpack. Another little funny scene where Goku kind of gets stuck in his, like, gi, I guess, or clothes. And so the Megoth's scratching, trying to, itch Goku off of him. And Goku actually falls into the books. And he's getting crushed then by, school supplies. Just because it's so big and he's so little. But then Goku blasts up. He powers up. And I think he's Super Saiyan. But he could be Super Saiyan 2. There was definitely some sparks for a second. But then they totally disappeared. And we have a little cool struggle with the power pole and the ruler. Just like Tamagami 3. Now remember, Tamagami 3 couldn't... the power pole was ultimately too much for it. But Goku gets overpowered, and he's about to get crushed by the Megoth. And Glorio, with that Han Solo skill, is able to swoop down right underneath the thing's foot with the plane and snatch Goku. Well, actually, doesn't even snatch. Goku grabs on. Well, but, it was cool. But Goku says that thing's amazing. And, the Megoth's kind of just looking like, huh, they got away? What the heck? stupid flies. And, they're all kind of like, whoa, what a relief. What a terrifying planet. And Neva then says that the adults are way more worse than that. And Goku's like, if they're so strong, why don't they just go ahead and take over the Demon King? And uh, that's where Shin's like, they're very, very laid back beings. Like, they don't care. And then Vegeta's like, wait a minute, you said that there's a planet worse than this, right? And Eva's like, oh yeah, there's the planet Giga. So this is planet Mega, planet Giga. And there live even larger beings called Gigas or Gigas. Now that's kind of a pun on like the word giant, I think. But I also think it's interesting that Mega and Giga, that's like a megabyte and a gigabyte, or at least I'm drawing that parallel anyways. A megabyte is like 1,000,000 bytes, and then a gigabyte is 1,000 megabytes. So with that in mind, if that is any remote parallel there, then a giga could be as big as up to 1,000 times bigger or stronger than a megoth. And like I said, we have only seen a child-sized one. And so that's interesting. Like, Beerus, where you at? Let's see what you got. But they don't even care about running the demon world and stuff. And it's like, whoa, how about that? They're very strong though. But still, it's neat to see. Then it shows as they're flying away, Goku looks down and he sees there's tons of Megos just walking from school, and they're all kids. And Goku's, of course, excited by it. Typical Goku, fighting strong people. Then they have like this magical like moment, I guess. Like I said, Goku's smiling, and the lights come up, and I don't know if this was like a Christmas tribute or if it's just that. It's that magic for Daima, man. Just that Toriyama magic trying to make the kids smile, I guess. Because the visuals are all very nice. And there's nobody says anything. There's no dialogue. That's how the episode ends. So they fly off. Like I said, a very kind of slow episode. Probably my second least favorite episode. Because of the introduction of the Megas and the lore about the Gigas and a little bit of lore about like how the air in the demon world, like, it mixes together, and that's how that mineral was formed. I thought that was neat. That trumps episode 7 to me, and the waste of extra meal. Whatever Goku did there. Episode filler. That's what I called it. But it was still, Piccolo finally did something even remotely impressive. He was able to knock the ruler out of the Mega's hand, which was kind of cool. Or not the ruler, but the stick that he had. And, that was kind of cool. It was still kind of lackluster for Piccolo. I don't know why they brought him along at this point. Other than to maybe call Neva out for being senile. He's had very, very minimal roles. He's not done a lot. And it's like, I don't know what to really say about that. But the next episode preview is called Taboo. And, it's really hard to say. We see some guy chewing on something. The way they do that, they make it build up like, oh, this is going to be a big guy, man. You need to watch. And I guarantee he's going to be a joke. He's not going to be anything. But then it shows Goku basically, smoked, like he got beat up by something. And he's falling towards the Demon World tunnel. And it's interesting because the next scene shows Pansy, and she's looking down from the ship, and the Demon World tunnel's above her. So remember, like I said, the Demon World 3 sits on top, then Demon World 2, then Demon World 1. And so the tunnel goes down like that. So the entrance point from Demon World 1 to 2 would be at the bottom of the Demon World 2 and at the top of Demon World 1. And then it keeps going. That's how the tunnel travels. But right after that, it shows Goku literally falling directly, like, towards that tunnel, but unconscious. And that's really all it shows. So remember, if warp's shut down and the tunnel's the only way they can get through there, but the magic sealed it, I mean, I don't want to say Goku's going to go Super Saiyan 3, but they got to break through there somehow. So unless Glorio's got some magic that just overrides it, or, Shin's got something like that. Oh, excuse me. I'm almost positive. Oh, excuse me. Goku's going to go Super Saiyan 3. But that's pretty much it, man. I'm still enjoying Daima. no new news about new episodes. As far as I know, it's still 20 episodes. So we are, if you're a dub fan, because they're airing these dub episodes one at a time, I guess you got 13 more weeks of at least that, additional weeks, anyways. But other than that, that's pretty much it. If you notice something I missed, please tell me about it. Other than that, have a good one.